Now before we get into making what is in my opinion the most underrated burger of all time, the chili cheeseburger, we first have to get started prepping the chili. I also want to thank our sponsor today, Thrive Market, but more on them later. For now, let's just jump right into it. Now chili is actually always kind of better the next day, and today's a Sunday, and we're actually gonna prep the chili today so that I can have throughout the week. You can make this all over the last minute, but I like to take Sunday to prep a few things that are gonna allow me to make fast meals throughout the week. And it's gonna start with 1 pound of ground 80/20 chuck, and I'm gonna go in with a small onion and I'm about to dice fine. Once you've got this chili prepped throughout the week, making things like chili cheeseburgers, chili cheese dogs, nachos, sloppy joes become really quick and easy to make, which is why a little prep on the weekend goes a long way. Now you can go ahead and add peppers and all sorts of stuff to your chili, but we're going really simple. Whenever chili is applied to something else and not served on its own, when it's served on a burger or a hot dog, it's always very simple. It's always very meat forward, very spice forward, and it's all in the flavor that you develop in it. So these are gonna be the 2 main ingredients, and then next we have to create a spice mix. First off, we're going with 2 parts chili powder, and then we're going with about 1 part of everything else. 1, 2. Then I got 1 part cumin, 1 part coriander, 1 part onion powder, 1 part garlic powder, 1 part mustard powder, 1 part paprika, 1 part MSG. And now the next part is variable. We got red chili flake and cayenne. This chili is meant to be on the spicier side. I'm going to go heavy with the spices more so than I might normally because the spice of this chili is sort of what makes it so good, even though you may feel it afterwards. This is really up to your taste, but if I used a full spoonful of every other ingredient, then I'm just gonna use a half of each of the chili flake and the cayenne, and then just stir it all up. Now besides this spice mixture, we're gonna need some brown sugar, but I'm gonna add that once everything's into the pot so nothing burns. We can set this aside. The rest of the ingredients are a little bit of white vinegar, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a few tablespoons of tomato paste, about a 1/4 cup or a 1/2 cup of tomato puree. And for the main liquid, you could stick with just water, and I'm gonna use a little bit to control the consistency, but I also have a cerveza, and you can always use a beer in chili. I think it's actually a great thing to kind of sort of deglaze with, so I'm gonna use a little bit of beer today, but if you don't wanna use beer, or you're cooking with a kid, whatever, you can just use water. First, we're gonna get a pan on medium-high heat, and we're gonna add our fat of choice. I've got some beef fat here, so I'm gonna use that. Once the pan is hot, we wanna add the ground beef into the pan, and we wanna just kind of sort of spread it out across the surface of the pan and let that one side sort of sear. And I'm gonna use a spatula to sort of break it up. I'm gonna season it with some salt and some black pepper, and then I'm just gonna leave it alone and allow it to just develop a little bit of browning on one side. Once one side's brown, then I'm gonna start to mix it up, chop it up, break down the meat so that it's more of a finer, coarse texture that will sit nicely in the burger. Like any ground beef, the moisture is gonna release before it starts to fry. So make sure you get all the moisture out, and then that's when it's gonna start to brown. You can see that all the moisture has evaporated, and what's left is the fat that's going to end up frying and browning the meat. And once the meat is nicely browned, we're gonna add in the onions, give them a little hit of salt, and then we're gonna cook those until they just sweat it out. Once the onions are nice and softened, I'm gonna take the spice mixture and I'm gonna add about 3/4 of it. I'm gonna reserve the rest of it just in case I need a little bit more flavor. But using most of it should be enough. And then we're gonna mix it up, start to toast those spices, and then we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of the tomato paste. Get that tomato paste worked in and get the rawness cooked out. And once you've developed some fond in the bottom of the pan and everything's looking nice and deep and rich, we can deglaze with some of that beer, maybe a cup or so. Cook that beer down until it's reduced and thickened, and then we can take our puree of tomato and we can add about a cup of that as well. Work that into the mix. We can add our flavorings like the Worcestershire sauce, about a tablespoon of that. We're gonna add about 2 capfuls of the white vinegar, not too much, and then we can add our brown sugar. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of it, and if I need a little bit more down the road, I can always add more later. We really wanna go for that sweet heat here. Now we wanna cook this for about 30 minutes to an hour, so I'm gonna add a little bit of water to compensate for the evaporation and allow it to sort of stew down a bit. I'm gonna check back in a half an hour, and you just wanna let it simmer. We do want the final product to be on the thicker side so it can sit nicely in the burger, but we still need to stew it and let it cook so those flavors can really marry. Halfway through, I noticed it's thickened a bit, so I just add a touch more water just to allow it to continue cooking for that final 20 to 30 minutes. Keep it simmering, and after another 20-30 minutes, and it's nice and thick, give it a taste. I can adjust any seasoning. I add a bit more salt and a little bit more sugar to really drive home that sweet heat flavor. Get that dissolved in. It should have a sweet heat. It should be intensely flavored, and it should have some nice thickness to it. And if you're gonna use this right away, then you wanna keep it warm. But if you wanna store it away for the rest of the week, like I'm doing today, I'm just gonna set it off to the side, allow it to fully cool before we store it for the night. We want it a little bit thicker because we want it to sit nicely on top of burger. If you got a super loose chili, it's gonna run all over the place. It's gonna be messy, and a lot of the chili you put on top of the burger is just gonna kind of run off to the side. This would be good to use now, but again, we're gonna make burgers tomorrow, so I'm just gonna pack it up and store it in the fridge overnight. Now, before we proceed, I've gotta save you money on groceries thanks to our sponsor today, Thrive Market. Thrive Market is an online membership-based grocery store on a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. They offer the same products you'd find at your local health food store at wholesale prices. Think of it sort of like the wholesale prices of Costco mixed with the selection of Whole Foods. You can shop for thousands of the best-selling organic foods and natural products below traditional retail prices. And if you can find a better price somewhere else, Thrive Market will match it. They have an amazing selection of organic groceries, snacks, my favorite pasta brands, cured meats, all the brands I use to stock my pantry, different salts, pureed tomatoes, supplements, non-toxic beauty items, and personal care items, and they even have wine. And whether you're gluten-free, vegan, or keto, they've got products for you. They have two options for memberships. One monthly that costs $9.95 a month, and one yearly that costs $59.95, which equates to about only $5 a month. And as always, I love saving you money, so when you go down to the link down in the description or you visit thrivemarket.com/notanothercookingshow, we're gonna give you 40% off your first order plus a free gift worth over $50 when you join Thrive Market today. Head on down to the link in the description and let's get back into the recipe. Now we fast forward to Monday. So now here we are, it's lunchtime, I'm hungry. Now we can make a burger lickety split. We've got our chili, we need to reheat our chili up because it's been chilling overnight. We're making smash burgers today and we have our ground beef. You really want some 80-20 ground chuck. This is actually a brisket short rib blend that the store near me actually whips up. I'm gonna measure out about 2.5 ounce patties that we're going to smash in. And then we've got a brioche bun and some American cheese. Let's just measure out these burger patties. Just put a little film of plastic wrap on the scale, and then I have these 2 squares of parchment paper that I can smash the patties with. Just go through and just measure out the patties. You should get about 6 with a pound of ground beef. So that pound of meat made about 6 balls. Today we're making a double smash burger, so I only need 2, and I've got them placed on a little bit of parchment paper so we can smash them and they won't stick to our spatula. And then we can just store these off, and I can make a burger whenever I need to quickly, or if I've got a bunch of people, I can make 6 burgers, I can make 3 doubles. It's really up to you. Now for a little bit more beefiness, I'm using some beef tallow, some rendered beef fat to cook the burgers in. Otherwise, you could use a little bit of a neutral oil or just use the fat in the beef if you have enough. And then I just wanna get my cast iron preheated. I've got a nice wide 12-inch cast iron pan, enough to smash 2 wide burgers. If you've got a flat top, great. Otherwise, a really nice wide cast iron is perfect for making burgers, making cheesesteaks. You just want a little bit of room to work with that this has. So I wanna get this on medium to medium high heat and give it a good 10 minutes to preheat to get hot. Then I'm just gonna move the cast iron to the side burner, let it continue to preheat while we reheat the chili. So I got a small little pot on medium heat. I'm gonna add a few tablespoons of our chilled chili, and then I'm just gonna correct the consistency with a touch of water. A little water is gonna help it reheat a little bit better, loosen it up. We still want it thick, but we just wanna get it hot. Once it's hot, switch the pans back, get the cast iron in the forefront of the camera so you can see what's going on, and we can start to make our smash burgers. Let that chili just simmer off to the side, and we can get some of that beef fat into the screaming hot cast iron pan until it's all melted. We just need a thin layer of fat on the pan. Then we get the buns on, and we want to toast those buns really nicely. Once they're toasted, we want to blast the heat. Make sure to get that pan screaming hot again and smoking. Want to hit the balls of meat with a little bit of salt and then place them into the cast iron. And you want to smash them with a really sturdy spatula. And you want to like hold it down once you've smashed it. You want to kind of push the meat into the pan and hold it there to create a really nice sear and to get all that meat making contact with the pan. They don't have to be perfect circles. They don't have to look beautiful. It'll all come together. Just trust me. Once they're smashed, take that parchment paper off, and you can see that they're almost cooked. We're gonna hit them with some salt. You see the patties turn into this like lacy flat patty, which is what we want in a smash burger. It will hold together, I promise. Once you start to see browning around the edges and you're pretty confident that it's nicely brown, you want to scrape underneath it and give it a flip to reveal beautiful crust. Then immediately get cheese on both patties. And whichever patty is the largest patty, we're going to make that the bottom patty, and then we're going to add some chili directly on top of that. And then we're going to take the smaller patty, place that on top of that, and then we're ready to assemble our burger. On the bottom burger bun, we're going to go with pickles to cut the richness, along with a few of my pickled jalapenos to add a little bit more spice to the mix. Next goes our burger patty, and then finally, on top of the burgers, you're just going to add a few spoonfuls of the chili. You don't want it running everywhere. You want it to sit nicely atop of the patty. And what you'll be greeted with is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated burgers and burger condiments that exist in the world, and you're going to have to give this a shot. Oh, it's too good. It's a flavor bomb. Yes, it's beef on beef, but man, that chili just had so much flavor to a burger. And if it's thick enough and it can hold in the sandwich without kind of bleeding out, it's really out of this world. The pickles cut the richness a little bit. It's really nice. And I think the brioche bun is the way to go. Notice the containment and the minimum spillage. And you should feel the heat, almost sweat a little bit, but it shouldn't be too much to handle. The problem is it's now all gone and I might need another one. You now gotta go get the ingredients, go home and make this. Full recipe is gonna be down in the description along with all other relevant links. That's all that I have today. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself and go feed yourself. Now, if you're the kind of person who loves a chili cheeseburger, you're gonna love a Philly cheesesteak. There's a link on the screen right now with a few other video links in case you're interested in checking them out. Otherwise, thanks for watching.